The purpose of this video is to go over various ways to use the Canvas Gradebook. The first thing that I want to recommend is to turn the new Gradebook on. You don't have to do this, but I find that the new Gradebook has more options to use, and I find it more useful. So to do that, you will click on Settings here in the navigation menu, and you want to select Feature Options. So if you have not turned the gradebook on, this is how it would look. So you would not have a green check. To turn it on, we'll click here. The green check means that the new gradebook is on. Okay, let's check out what the gradebook looks like. So if you click on Grades, this is a template course, so we're not going to have a list of students, but you're going to have all of your assignments listed here. Now, the new gradebook allows you to turn on different filters. So the way to do that, if you click on View here, and you come down to Filters. So you want to put a check mark beside each of these filters so you can have them as options to filter out your assignments. So like a check mark means you can see it. If I were to uncheck it, then the filter goes away. So you can turn them on and they can just remain on all the time. So you can now filter your assignments by group or category. So if you want to just look at your homework or just your tests, however you rename your groups, this is what you would use here. These are your groups. And then you can filter it by modules. So if you have your module set up by chapter, you could filter only a certain chapter and view those assignments. So if we go down and we move all the way to the right of the gradebook, so the end of the gradebook here has your group percentages, like your percentage totals. So your total quiz average, your total lab assignment average, your total homework average. You can't move these columns, unfortunately, but you can move, this is the total grade here. And I would suggest that you move it to the front of your gradebook so you can see it right by the student's name. And the way that you do that is that you would click on these three dots here and then just select Move to Front. And so now whenever you go to your gradebook, you will see the student's grade here. Now there are very useful options to use when you're in the Canvas gradebook. So I want to show you a couple of those. So within each assignment or each column, as we referred to it back when we were thinking of Blackboard, you can do a few things. So if we click on these three dots, you can sort all of the grades in that assignment by low to high, high to low. You can sort them by missing or late if you use the due dates. You can also message students who meet a certain criteria. So for example, if you click here and let's say you want to send a message to all the students who haven't submitted an assignment, you can select that and all those students who will fall under that category would be listed here. And then you can enter whatever message you want to send, and it will send them a message in their Canvas inbox, which will go to their email. And you can edit the subject as well. You can even send a message to everyone who has scored less than a certain score. You could maybe send a happy message to everyone who scored more than, an 80 or a 90. So send a message to everyone who made an A on assignment. But this is a really neat quick way to message students based on a certain criteria within an assignment grade. Another feature is the default grade feature. This set default grade to me is extremely helpful. As we know, we want to keep our gradebooks up to date throughout the semester. And if a student doesn't do an assignment and the deadline has passed, it's very important for you to put a 0 in for that assignment. If not, the student does not know what their true grade is and where they truly stand in the class. The only way that you could do that is that you can say all missing grades in the entire gradebook can be counted as a 0. But I would not encourage you to do that because that means that everyone starts off very low in the beginning of the semester because you haven't gotten to all the assignments. But you can set a default grade. So this option gives all students the same grade for a particular assignment by putting whatever grade here. If you make this 0, what this means is that if they don't do anything, the default grade will be 0. If the student does do the assignment, then that grade will update, but the default is 0. So this is a great way to enter zeros for any missing grades throughout the semester. Now you can of course enter them manually, but if you have a few students who need to get zeros, this is a quick way to do it. Also, if you enter the zeros manually, they will override what the student does. And so as long as you don't select overwrite already entered grades, if a student has done the assignment, your 0 for the default won't affect that student. So this is a great feature to use to keep your gradebook up to date throughout the semester. Another feature is you can mute an assignment. When you mute an assignment, the student cannot see their grade for the assignment. They can't see any submission comments you may leave. They can't see any score changes. So if you are perhaps working on grading a particular assignment and you don't want your students seeing their grades as you are entering them over time, then you can mute the assignment and then you can unmute it when you're ready for all the grades to be accessible for the students to see. Now let's look at setting up your percentages. So to set up your percentages and your groups, you do that under the assignments page. So if you want to use percentages for each group that counts towards your grade, you would want to select assignment settings, and then you would want to select this option. And if you do not check it, then you're pretty much using points to determine your grade. But if you want to use percentages, you need to select this, and then you can edit what the percentage value should be. You can also do that within each individual group. So let's say you want to make this group be 15% of your grade. You can click the 3 dots for the group, edit, and then you can change it here as well. Now that we're here, I want to show you where you can drop. I know a lot of people maybe drop a few homework grades at the end of the semester. You can do that here. So let's say you want to drop or ignore a certain number of the lowest scores. If you wanted to drop or ignore the 3 lowest scores in this group, you can just enter this number here and then click Save. If there was an assignment that you don't want it to drop at all, then you could add it here and say, well, don't include, whatever assignment that you don't want it to drop. But if you don't care, you want just the 3 lowest assignments to be dropped or ignored, you can set that here, and then you would click Save. And then this rule would pop up to let you know you do have a rule that you set for that group, and you can just kind of hover over it and you'll see what it is. So I would suggest, if you plan on doing that, to add that in maybe towards the end of the semester, because if you do it too early, then the students' grades won't count until they reach above that number that you set. So there's so many ways to use the Canvas gradebook and to grade items, and so I strongly encourage you to use the Canvas guides, which you can access through the Help button here. And you can search the Canvas guides. You can go to the community page to get so much information.